Welcome back to the Takeout. Thanks for staying with us. American consumers haven't felt this bad about the economy since May. That, according to the University of Michigan's closely watched consumer sentiment measure. It fell almost 5% from August to September, and it is down more than 20% from this time last year. Worries about the job market and higher inflation drove this trend. Yesterday, the Labor Department announced consumer prices in August were up 2.9% annually. That's the hottest inflation has come in since January. The major indices were relatively flat today, but are up overall this week, and that is likely because investors anticipate that the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates next week. Rate cuts are something President Trump has long and repeatedly called for the central bank to do. President Trump's position on interest rates and the overall economy, for that matter, are, as you might imagine, under intense scrutiny. One of our nation's foremost conservative economists, former CBO Director Douglas Holtz-Eakin, says in the first term, that is to say President Trump's first term, he did, quote, some astounding things for the U.S. economy. Fast forward to Trump 2.0, and his views are quite negative. Here's our conversation. Doug, are you a never-Trumper economist?
I wasn't. I was never one of those who said, no, 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 no. And indeed, in his first term in office, there were some things that he did I thought were astounding. The deregulation was a real thing. I didn't think it was possible. The 17 tax bill is one of the best business tax reforms you could see. It's not perfect, but it was a big step forward. I didn't like picking a trade war with China. I think it hurt the U.S. in the end. But it was on the policy, things you could evaluate, favor some, not favor others. I came into this term in the same way.
And then what happened?
He made a series of decisions, none of which I think are the right way to go. I didn't love what they did with the Reconciliation Act, the one big beautiful bill. That was unlike the 17 bill, which was a real tax reform, treat income equally, get rates down. Now we're going to have special treatment for tips, special treatment for overtime, special treatment for seniors. It's at the antithesis of tax reform. And so I don't think we're going to get much out of that. I think the tariffs are a big mistake. They're a big economic mistake. They're a big international relations mistake. I mean, we've alienated neighbors and allies. So, it makes me just think he's making bad decisions. I don't know why.
Are the tariffs put in motion by the president legal from your vantage point?
There are some that are unquestionably legal. So steel, aluminum, autos, so-called Section 232 national security things.
Right.
Has the authority to do that?
Because there's a process in law and a process in procedure where you investigate, establish a case, make a judgment, and if you follow those rules under 232, they are legally bulletproof, more or less.
They are, and the Congress has said, here's what you can do. We have the authority to levy tariffs. You know, where the Constitution put that authority. We're going to let you have it under these circumstances. And they spelled it out, and he does it. He can put in the tariffs.
But when the president came in for the second term, as you well know, he said there's an economic emergency, and my powers to tariff are essentially limitless because I've declared an emergency.
He said, I'm going to use the international economic emergency powers, but that law does not contain the word tariffs. It does contain the word regulate, but no one typically associates regulation with what the House Ways and Means Committee usually does. So number one, was it really an emergency? We'd had these current account deficits for 20 years. Didn't appear to be a sudden crisis. Number two, did he have the authority? I think the answer is no. Two levels of the courts have decided no. Supreme Court gets the final say. We'll see how it works out.
And the president has said to the Supreme Court, if you overrule me, you're going to throw the economy into the ditch, and we're going to have to give back all this tariff revenue. It's going to be a calamity. So don't you dare do it. Whatever the law says, don't do it. Don't cross me. Don't cross the U.S. economy.
Not an argument that I like or buy. I mean, roll the clock back to January 1, and this wasn't a third world nation, which is they've asserted. This wasn't an economy that was dead in the water. It was growing at 2.5%. It's growing a lot less now. So it's not obvious that getting rid of the tariffs is a bad idea. I'd get rid of them tomorrow.
I have described on this program delicately the president's attitude toward the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell as jawboning. I think that is being delicate.
Yeah.
Is this a dangerous thing the president is doing? Because his administration will say, look, we're critical of the Federal Reserve. We are empowered to be critical of the Federal Reserve, and that's all we're doing is we're offering our opinion. We're not threatening its independence. How do you view it?
You know, I've worked for 2 White Houses, and presidents regularly complain about the Fed, and Fed chairmen are regularly invited to have lunch with the Secretary of the Treasury, where it is explained to them that they're doing a terrible job and endangering the future of their boss, and, you know, go back and get it right. And they typically ignore them and go do their job. And so at that level, I thought the criticisms of the president were fine. But there's a key moment when it really shifted, and that was when he started openly saying, I'm going to get somebody who's going to cut rates. And suddenly we had members of the Board of Governors saying, I want to cut rates at the next meeting, in a way that members of the Board of Governors don't usually do it. They're not that blunt. They're usually very, very, very restrained in their comments. They don't tip their hand. And suddenly I was thinking, is he saying that because that's the right thing to do, or because he wants to be the chair? And now you're thinking about the Fed wrong. You're not thinking about the monetary policy and the economics. You're thinking about the politics. Makes the Fed less effective. Their job is to convey to American businesses and households the future of the economy and what they're going to do to support it, not to run for chairmanship. So yeah, it's done some damage. And the next chair is devalued automatically, because the presumption will be they cut a deal with the president to get the job.
And for someone watching this, Doug, on their phone, their laptop, at home, and they're like, so why should I care? What's the danger of what you're describing?
Well,
a politicized, fearful Fed.
A politicized, fearful Fed doesn't do the right thing for the person sitting in their home watching on the phone. They do the right thing for the occupant of the Oval Office. Last politicized Fed we had them. Arthur Burns is notorious in Fed history for doing whatever Richard Nixon needed to succeed politically. And in the 70s, we had sustained high unemployment, sustained high inflation. That's what a politicized Fed gives you.
Doug Holtz-Eakin, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.